Shiinotic out of all Pokemon is considered to be a mythical Pokemon? A Pokemon amongst the rank of these guys? And no, I'm not joking. Here are 50 facts on mythical Pokemon. The only way to fight Mew as a wild Pokemon, the core series at least, is on Faraway Island in Pokemon Emerald. But to do that, you need the OC map, which is an event item that was only distributed in Japan and Taiwan. So yeah, if you're looking to fight a wild Mew, you better speedrun Pokemon Snap. According to an ancient Nintendo Japan page from the early 2000s, Celebi's Japanese name was initially romanized as Celebi instead of Celebi. Sorry Celebis of the world, Celebi is definitely better. Though mythical Pokemon are known for having signature moves, this trend first started with Jirachi, as was the first mythical Pokemon to have a signature move. Similarly, Deoxys was the first Pokemon to have its own unique battle music, and man, is it a banger. Fione has the exact same base stats as Glalie. Yeah, I guess Melmetal ain't the only mythical Pokemon that Ash owns. Most event Pokemon obtained through a mystery gift were made to be impossible to be made shiny, and Manaphy was also in this group. However, it is possible to hatch a Manaphy egg into a shiny, but only if it was traded before hatching. This is because shininess is dependent on the trainer ID number and the secret ID number, and in this situation, the game actually tries to prevent shininess using the original game's ID numbers instead of the ID numbers of a game that was traded to. And funny enough, this is one of the few things that BDSP actually fixed. Way to ruin it for shiny hunters, you stupid game. In the early Japanese version of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Darkrai can be caught using the Surf glitch, which was patched for all international releases. But international releases still got some luck, as they somehow got the ability to reach Darkrai without the member card. Amongst BDSP's many glitches, you could actually reach Flower Paradise and catch Shaman without Oak's Letter. This was patched in version 1.1.2 of the game, but it was the only method of obtaining a shiny Shaman without any events. The only Pokemon that's ever made the introduction of a core series game thus far has been Arceus, and fittingly so. Hey, Victini wasn't gonna make it to the cut of the Unova games by the sounds of it, because Victini only got in the games because Junichi Masuda asked for it since it was his favorite Generation 5 Pokemon, so we got Masuda to thank for this one, and I love Victini, man. Keldeo, despite being a mythical, has the same stats as the other Swords of Justice. In fact, its stats are the exact same as Terrakion, except its attack and special attack are just swapped. While fans already knew of Meloetta's existence in the game code, a poster for Kirin vs. Swords of Justice movie was leaked during the release of Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, which was the first official source to acknowledge Meloetta in any form. Genesec's Pokédex entry is the only time a Pokédex entry mentions a villainous team, with it being Team Plasma since they made Genesect. Diancie is a mutated Carbink, as you all know, and to reflect that, Carbink and Diancie's movesets are incredibly similar, to the point where the only difference in the moveset is that Diancie learns Trick instead of Power Gem at level 46, and it of course also learns Diamond Storm, its own signature move. Hoopa is the only Generation 6 Pokemon to have different Dex entries from X and Y to Oras. This is mainly because the Oras Dex entries reflect Hoopa Unbound. Again in Oras, it's mentioned that Volcanion was seen in Kalos, Johto, and Sinnoh, and that Brandon is the one leading expeditions to find it, instead of telling the workers to hurry up with a damn battle frontier. It's still one of the stupidest things they've ever done. There's a QR code that you can scan in the Alola games that allow you to get Magearna after you become champion, and the crazy thing is, this event is indefinite, thus making Magearna the first mythical Pokemon to be made available through an indefinite event. So here's a fun one. Yeah, in Scarlet and Violet's internal coding, Shiinotic is actually defined as a mythical Pokemon instead of Marshadow. This is most likely due to a typo between Shiinotic and Marshadow's internal names, Shiinotic being Mashido and Marshadow being Masaido. Looks like Shiinotic stole something that even Spectral Thief couldn't reach. To get a shiny Zeraora in Sword and Shield's Isle of Armor DLC, a Dynamax Zeraora was required for 1 million players to battle, causing Zeraora to be the only mythical Pokemon to be encountered in a max raid battle. According to Junichi Masuda, Melton and Melmetal were made for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee out of a desire to build a bridge between players of the core Pokemon series and players of Pokemon Go, to make both groups happy. I will say, while it was strange, I do think it worked to some degree. Pokemon Go will always have the rep of revealing a mythical Pokemon when none of us expected it. Melmetal is coded to learn Thunder Punch upon evolving, but this is impossible within the game since Melton can't evolve in the core series games. Zarude was first revealed as a silhouette in the February 2020 issue of CoroCoro, which I think comes out in January, but regardless, it came out before February 15, 2020, which is when Zarude was officially revealed by the Pokemon Company. So yeah, Pecharunt was officially revealed in Mochi Mayhem, but Kirin's grandpa had some crazy foresight, because as he was narrating the true story of Ogerpon, you can see Pecharunt right here. So technically, this is where it was revealed, but even beyond that, you technically see it at Peach's store right when you enter Masui Town, so I guess you can say its official reveal was in the teal mask. And your official time to join the channel can be right now. Since you're enjoying the video, it's the perfect time to subscribe to the channel for some more fact videos. Now, as Will Smith would say, it's rewind time.
It's rewind time.
Pecharunt is the lightest mythical Pokemon. Dada Zaru from the movie Secrets of the Jungle wears a purple scarf with Celebi's national Pokedex number. Melton and Melmetal are the only mythical Pokemon that can be traded or placed in a gym as a defender in Pokemon Go. Melton and Melmetal are also the only Gen 7 Pokemon that aren't in any version of the Alola Pokedex. In the Pokemon movie Power of Us, Zeraor's story, a manga that goes hand in hand with the movie, Zeraor is described as having been born in an explosion caused by a lightning bolt striking the mouth of an erupting volcano. So like, based off the Dex description, it sounds like Zeraor is the product of an Entei and a Raikou. Hey, don't take my word for it, take the Pokedexes. When you see a shiny Pokemon, you almost immediately know it's shiny. Not with Marshadow though. Good luck ever figuring out that's shiny normally, cause shiny Marshadow only has different colors in its Zenith form. Its actual normal form is the exact same. In Generation 8 at least, it's the only Pokemon with this trait, whereas in Generation 7, Magearna shared this trait with Marshadow. As for original color Magearna, yeah, it's different, but unfortunately, Ultra Ball Magearna ain't here yet. The reason why it was only until Generation 7 is because Magearna's normal form got a shiny update in Pokemon Home, and shiny Marshadow did as well, even though it's just a slight, light, almost unnoticeable shade of gray. Speaking of Magearna, shiny Magearna is the only unobtainable shiny Pokemon in the games that exclusively appeared in the anime. Volcanion is the only Pokemon from the first 6 generations of Pokemon to not appear in Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, as it wasn't officially introduced at the time of the game's release. Hoopon Bound is the only Pokemon with a base stat total of 680 that isn't a legendary Pokemon. Diance's Pokedex entry on the official English website mistakenly states that its gender can be either male or female, but the truth is, it's actually a gender unknown Pokemon. But Mega Diancie is correctly stated to be gender unknown. This error isn't there on the Japanese website because the Japanese are just that good. Technoblast may be Genesect's signature move, but Genesect can't receive stab from it unless it changes its type through some other method like Soak. Meloetta is programmed to always hold a star piece when encountered in the wild in Pokemon Black and White. However, Meloetta cannot be found in the wild in those games. Keldeo can walk on water just like somebody else. No, not Jesus. Well, yeah, but I meant Suicune. Both are quadruped water types, so they're pretty similar in this regard. Sorry fam, you ain't a quadruped water type. Victini is the only Generation 5 mythical to not have any sort of form change. Keldeo has its ordinary and resolute form, Meloetta has its Aria and Pirouette form, and Genesect has its forms with its different drives. I know it's just a slight difference, but they're still technically different forms. But regardless of this, Victini is still my favorite between the bunch, so who cares about forms? In Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Arceus can be encountered without the use of an Azure Flute by combining tweaking, no, not that, it's a Gen 4 glitch, and the Palpark Retire glitch. On top of this, Arceus can be encountered an unlimited amount of times with this method, unlike Darkrai and Shaman, which are limited to one encounter. This was patched in Platinum, however, as the player is unable to move freely around the void. Once again, Platinum patched things way better than BDSP did. In Gen 4, in the only games where you got falling Pokemon at the time, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Shaman has unique animation when transforming from its sky to its land form if it's walking with the player when the time changes into night. In Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky, Darkrai is the only non-ghost type Pokemon capable of traveling through walls and all other types of terrain without the all-terrain Hiker IQ skill. Which, if you ever play Mystery Dungeon, you know how valuable of a skill like that can be, but it makes sense because despite not being a ghost type, Darkrai is pretty ghostly. Manaphy and Ditto are the only Pokemon that are able to breed, yet unobtainable through breeding, and those two are both a part of the biggest breeding mysteries of them all, but don't worry, because I have an incredibly old video that covers this, and it's probably high time that I remake that video. Speaking of that, Phione is the only Pokemon that's obtainable by breeding a mythical Pokemon, as irrespective of whether you breed a Manaphy or Phione, with Ditto, you produce a Phione egg, but Phione can't evolve into Manaphy, nor is it able to produce eggs that hatch into Manaphy. Deoxys was the first mythical Pokemon to not have exactly 100 points in each of its base stats. Instead, it had all kinds of crazy forms with all kinds of crazy stats. Jirachi is easily one of the most rare Pokemon in existence because Jirachi is the only Generation 3 Pokemon that can't be obtained in any of the home-based games without an event. No, you're not crazy. Celebi was in fact meant to be in the GS Ball in the Pokemon anime throughout the Johto arc, but since Celebi was going to start in the 4th movie, the idea was scrapped, and they just thought that people would forget about the GS Ball. They really were insulting our 10-year-old intelligence here. Believe it or not, in terms of being shown within an actual anime episode, and not a movie, a TV special, or the openings or anything, just as the Pokemon appearing in the episode, Mew has taken the most amount of episodes to debut That being 981 episodes, which, to put this in perspective, is over 2 decades. Yeah, One Piece fans, we can celebrate decades worth of build-up together. So yeah, Mew has the record for the longest debut in the anime from the start of the generation. Shout out to the members of the channel. Before we round off this video, I'm live streaming almost every day, so be sure to come and check it out, and maybe even become a member to get a shout out on these videos and other cool perks. While Arceus is technically a mythical Pokemon of every type, if you were to exclude its plates, these 4 Pokemon are the only mythicals of their type. When Arceus is not holding the insect plate, Genesect is the only bug type mythical Pokemon. When Arceus is not holding the toxic plate, Petron is the only poison type mythical Pokemon. When Arceus is not holding the zap plate, Zeraora is the only electric type mythical Pokemon. And finally, when Arceus is not holding the stone plate, Diancie is the only rock type mythical Pokemon. Next time, we'll be going over 50 facts on the Sinnoh starters. See you guys then.